Hello, hello. We are here. We are live with the series premiere of our new Burning Wheel campaign, Lavender Shadows. Make some noise, people.
Spooky.
I made a noise.
I'm pretty excited about it because, I mean, these fools know, and I'm sure anyone who knows me knows, Burning Wheel is my favorite game of all time.
No.
I also know it.
So excited to play it. Yeah, because you're not a fool. I'm so excited to hang out with you. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started here. But the first thing we're going to do so normally we would start these with beliefs, instincts, and traits, just to refresh ourselves with these characters, who they are, and then give me a little bit of a reminder as the GM what you guys care about and what I can maybe throw in your way to challenge those beliefs. But before we do that, real quick, we got to come up with cultural traits. So I forgot about this. Cultural traits are, traits for a particular culture. And it's basically how the culture is perceived at large, like this various stereotypes of the culture. All of these traits will be added to your trait list, but they can be voted off like any other trait. And so there's particular times during the game where we do trait votes. But basically, you don't have to necessarily play. You don't have to necessarily play to any trait on your list. And so when a trait vote comes around, then we would evaluate everybody's traits and be like, what traits maybe don't make sense for you to have? And cultural traits might be good examples of those, because there's something that the culture definitely embodies as a whole, but maybe you don't as a particular character. But it gives us a little bit of idea of what the culture's kind of traits are like as a whole, what the stereotypes are, to give us a little bit more narrative room to play with. So let's think up 3 cultural traits for the Avernish people. So that's the name of this culture, the Avernish people. Can anyone think of any stereotypes that they might embody?
They stick carrots up their nose.
That's a weird stereotype.
I vote that down. Thank you.
Yes, law.
They talk like Swedish chef.
Again, these are to be traits like similar to the ones that would be on your character sheet or in the book.
Oh, okay.
They're just character traits.
No one else is saying anything.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to suggest things that aren't going to be immediately shot down.
But it's fun.
That's just Seth.
Like, for example, we could say religious or cultivated.
Snooty.
Yeah, snooty, right? Like
Yeah, that's what I was
pompous.
gonna say, like snobby.
Look,
Snobby.
I would have used the word sophisticated.
Sophisticated.
But whatever.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Sophisticated.
But snooty's very
Oh,
different than sophisticated.
Question, actually, do we want to do different, because we're going to be focusing so much on this kingdom, do we want to do 2 different sets of cultural traits, one for the nobility and one for the commoners?
Actually, that's right. That was our kind of our setting.
As like,
Because
what are the
Carly and I
stereotypes
are
of the nobility and what are the stereotypes of the commoners? Yeah. Okay, yeah, so obviously we have the nobility is sophisticated. What else is true about the nobility?
Arrogant, maybe? I don't know
Yeah.
if that goes with sophisticated.
Yeah,
or not,
sophisticated.
Not always.
But not
I'm trying to think of a more maybe like positive spin, or at least deceptive spin to put on arrogant. Well, not. It's just like I feel
just like you don't say snooty, you say
exactly.
sophisticated.
Slow to I don't know. Slow to change maybe isn't as positive either.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying though.
What's a good word for stubborn?
Established?
Yeah.
Established in their ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's like one word that exists that like
I'm like,
encapsulate
that's
that.
not quite it.
Word that
Cue the thesaurus.
set in their ways.
But-
Immutable is a good one. Obstinate.
Headstrong. That's actually what I was looking for. Headstrong.
Headstrong could be a good one. Yeah.
Headstrong is the most positive of those.
Yeah, let's do headstrong. So noblemen are known for their headstrongness. They are kind of in your face, like this is the way that I want it, and it's gonna be done.
Or
Okay.
tenacious. Might be even better word.
That would probably
Hmm.
be more for the lower class.
I have a friend watching that suggested traditional.
Traditional. Yeah. Maybe sophisticated, headstrong,
Ooh.
and traditional.
Someone in the chat said human. I like that idea.
Everybody has that.
I have a word for the working class.
Okay.
Industrious.
Yeah, industrious. So do you want the nobility to be sophisticated, headstrong, and traditional? Yeah, I'm down with that. Because traditional is a good word for like set in our ways. It's like
Right.
this is the way things have always been done, and we'll always do them this way. Yeah, okay. So everybody who's a noble, so Joe and Vivienne, go ahead and write in the bottom of your character trait list. Add 3 traits in there, and then each of these, and then at the end of it, just put like a little parentheses, a C or a cultural in parentheses, so you know that these are cultural traits. So yeah, commoners, industrious.
Here's the thing. I'm not technically from this area, though.
Yeah, do we want to come up with traits for
A
whatever
third?
weird kingdom you're
Oh
from?
my gosh.
That's fine.
Was I from very far away, though? I'm trying to remember.
I feel like you're like a neighboring kingdom. You're from like
Mhm.
some sort of neighboring kingdom. So yeah, commoner, industrious. Anyone else have an idea? I mean, maybe it's as a what's the word? A contrast to traditional, something along the lines of maybe not progressive, but like open to change, like
Do the thesaurus again.
word that means open to change.
Flexible.
Yeah, flexible is a good one. Tolerant, maybe.
Unestablished. Or just untraditional.
Broad-minded.
I think tolerant.
Yeah, I think I
might
like
be
that
good.
one.
Yeah.
Industrious, tolerant.
Sorry, what did you say to do with those traits again?
In your character trait list on
Okay.
the information part of your character sheet, just go ahead and add them into your character traits, and then put a little
okay.
like C in parentheses after them, just so we know they're
Okay, cool.
cultural traits. Yeah, industrious, tolerant. Any other ideas? Industrious, tolerant. Maybe something along the lines of. Wait, why did you ban Pecas?
He said to go kill your cousin.
Oh no, that's my freshman. He.
I don't know. I just saw him like, oh,
no,
someone's just being
no. Yeah,
stupid.
Here, I'll unban him. That was from our Burning Wheel game.
I've never
we
heard
were
of that.
doing.
So
Yeah, no, you're good. Our the Burning Wheel game we've been doing. Someone attempted to go murder their cousin, and and then got shot with a crossbow. So he was just saying like, if you want to die, this is one option in the Burning Wheel.
why would I use a crossbow? I have a knife.
Yeah, that's fair. And there are guns in this one, so
I don't have. Wait, there are guns in our setting?
I mean, yeah, it's like the Renaissance.
I thought we were. Then why don't I have a gun instead?
Do you want a gun instead?
Guns require ammo.
Yeah, and I also feel like guns, particularly in this kingdom, are kind of restricted to the nobility at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do exist. Industrious, tolerant. My idea was something along the lines of like showing how they're like oppressed, maybe just oppressed.
Help! Help! I'm being oppressed.
Being oppressed.
Or whatever.
Is that too strong of a word, or
No.
everybody good with that one?
Downtrodden, maybe?
Yeah, downtrodden, maybe.
I like that better. I feel like oppressed is very,
It's a bit too strong, yeah.
yeah.
You're not very strong if you're being oppressed.
Let's say downtrodden. I'm down with that one. Okay.
Down with the downtrodden.
Seth, what is your kingdom's name? Do we know?
I was about to say a kingdom name from a game I'm playing.
Because you're
Which isn't
Irish,
bad.
right? You're kind of
Huh?
Irish.
I don't remember.
Well, that's
The
what
name that
your last name is an Irish last name.
Tisby, was it?
Yeah.
It's been so long since we did this.
Yeah, it's been
I
3 weeks.
honestly don't remember. City board and student advocate thug. I don't have a homeland, so yeah. The name that immediately popped in my head, if you're okay with using, is Alvanista.
We could do a version of that, yeah.
It's just the name that popped in my head, and it's all I can.
We also have
no.
Auvergne is the name of this kingdom, so probably don't want to do an A.
Okay, that makes sense.
Let's see. What about Finbar? That's kind of a quirky name for a kingdom.
I just made me think of Fubar.
Yeah.
Finley.
Yeah, Finley. I'm done with that. It's kind of quirky.
Homeland is Finley.
Yeah, the kingdom of Finley.
I'm gonna keep thinking that it's just like a person.
So the Finnish people, what are their traits?
The Finnish.
Yeah, how else would you say that?
I don't know.
I like it. Hey,
Finlians?
The Finians, yeah.
I said Finlians,
The
but
Finlians. I like the Finnish. I feel like, and a lot of this is like stereotypes too. I feel like something just that kind of gets across the idea of like being quirky or odd, because I think that's maybe how they're viewed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just odd.
So quirky,
yeah,
or
quirky.
odd.
Let's do odd. What's something else that might be true about your people?
I'm looking for is like kind of thrifty, but not thrifty.
Right. Mercantile.
The idea of trying to get is not necessarily fruit, kind of like
frugal.
not
Yeah.
frugal exactly, but like I'm trying to think of the word. Like they're used to not living with a lot, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. Sparing.
I can't think of a better word than frugal. I'll put that down for now.
Yeah, I think frugal's fine. Odd, frugal.
What if I put fruit in here?
Prudent.
Yeah, those are the words I'm finding too.
But
We are Spartans.
That has a different
connotation.
Different connotation.
We kick people off the mountains.
Exactly. Yeah, I think frugal.
Keep her that way.
Odd, frugal, and are they seen as being emotional at all?
Actually, probably yeah.
Yeah, let's do emotional.
Probably why I've killed people.
Because that's how the Irish were viewed, right? Like, is they're emotional, the drunkards, right? Like, the English are refined and sophisticated. Okay, yeah. So there are our cultural traits. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. All right, let's go ahead and run through our beliefs and instincts. Get to know these characters a little bit, and then we'll jump into in media res what's going on in this campaign. Marco Tisby, what are your beliefs, your instincts, and your traits?
Oh right, I was reading my belief. I'm like, wait, it says like, so okay, question first.
Yeah.
Are we doing accents?
You can do accents.
I'm not.
So
'Cause
you would be the
I'm
only
deaf.
one. Yeah, that's true. You're the only one who would have an accent because if we're viewing this as like from the perspective of this nation, right? Everyone would be speaking the French analog or whatever, right? So they wouldn't have accents because they're just that's how they talk. So you would be the only one with an accent.
Okay, so I can find the killer. I will find justice. And I forgot for a second who the killer was when I read that originally. I'm like, wait, who died?
I mean, it hasn't died yet, but you know.
I know, but I was reading that. I was like, wait, what?
Yep.
I can find a better life. This is just crocodile.
This is
hunter.
that's you're
I can
Australian.
find a better life. I will bring my family out of poverty. I will find extra work. People are inherently not trustworthy.
Okay, instincts.
I always have a knife on me. I always make sure to know who's in the room. And I always have an alibi ready.
Okay.
I'm trying to make it more Cockney than Australian, but the Australian's just too strong in this.
I mean, you can be Australian. It's fine. It's a fictional world.
And oops, I unplugged my headphones.
That just
I
means that
always do this.
if a Finnish character ever shows up in this game, then I have to also use an Australian.
But, what you're saying? I unplugged my headphones for a little bit, so
I was saying
didn't hear part of
if a Finnish character ever shows up in this game that's not you, I also have to do an Australian accent.
that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I don't know what that was.
I don't know either.
I feel like you should just go Australian because otherwise you're just gonna.
I want the accents to be better. I'm trying to practice. I was aiming for Cockney. It came out Australian.
Yeah, it really did.
Cockney accent. I don't know. My voice is everywhere.
No. Just go Australian. You're fine.
Then it's gonna go into Toidy's voice because Australian's close to Irish in my mouth.
I'm imagining like a bunch of little people in Seth's mouth that are just like
Well, it's like,
have these
like,
switches that were accents.
It's
Yeah.
not too far from that in a sense. Anyway, there's a reason Gret became Chinese
It's true.
for a little bit.
It's true. You did.
Those accents were just too close to my head.
What are your traits?
Oh, I thought I said them already. Oh no, sorry. Traits: rabble rouser, shrewd, drop dead gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Chronologue, I always know what time it is. Odd, frugal, and emotional.
Then you have die traits.
Cold-blooded. You need it for the crocodiles. Jaded and thick-skinned, like a crocodile.
Oh boy! All right,
I
Oh my
can't not
gosh.
hear it now.
let's move
sorry.
on from that quickly. Emily, who's Marguerite? And is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Marguerite.
Marguerite.
So just my beliefs and instincts.
Beliefs, instincts, and traits.
Okay, so beliefs. Hard work is more valuable than raw talent. I will become the understudy for the lead of the opera.
Mm-hmm.
My needs come first, then Isabeau's needs, then everyone else. I will convince someone to become Isabeau's nanny.
Yep.
And then a belief without an action yet is men are weak and easily swayed.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
And then my instincts are I always try to flirt my way out of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone tries to ask about my personal life, I try to deflect / change the subject.
Perfect. Nice.
My traits are flowery, colorful, fretful, and then the
cultural traits.
the cultural traits, the industrious, tolerant, downtrodden, and then no, just kidding. Wait. Oh, and then my special trait is I also
Sonorous
have
voice.
a sonorous voice.
Yeah. And that's just below your character traits and call on traits right there on the list.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
That's a really good trait because it's a call in for 3 different skills, which is kind of rare in call on traits. So that's pretty cool. Awesome.
I'm really, I have worked really hard for my talents.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Joe, who you at? Who you be?
I am a strong, independent woman who don't need a man, and I will make Sir Pascal Gilbert indifferent to me.
Gilbert.
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 The ancient language must not be for. Oh, just choked on a fly.
Don't die.
Be hard to speak the ancient language if you can't speak.
It would not
Does it with her
actually.
hands,
Oh, that's
so-
right. Well, I mean, if she can't breathe,
It's true. Eventually.
That's a different thing.
I guess.
We're good. Okay. All right. The ancient language must not be forgotten. I will continue to teach Vivian. learning is the key to improving oneself. I will acquire a new book. And my instincts are, if someone has romantic interest in me, I push them away.
Mm-hmm.
If someone asks me about sign language, I will begin to teach them
Yeah.
immediately. And always call out a liar.
Yeah.
My traits are, I'm a rabble rouser, ink-stained hands, no nonsense, headstrong, traditional, sophisticated. And then my die traits are the mark of privilege and bookworm. And then I'm also driven.
Yeah. Peyton had a really funny comment. Said, I just choked on a fry is an interesting belief.
I mean, it's true.
I just choked on a fry. I will get revenge.
On the fry.
By digesting it
The
angrily.
will pay.
Make that health test.
I
I
will
guess.
make this other potato pay.
Yeah. All right, Vivienne Auguste.
Okay. I believe someone can love me. I will find them and return the favor. I believe I owe Joe much. I will do something kind to show my thanks. I believe plants can teach people about patience and beauty. I will teach someone to appreciate my garden. My instincts, always be kind, even in the face of disrespect. Never neglect to send a swiftly written reply to a letter, and always have a good book on my person.
Yeah.
My traits are rabble rouser, earthy smell, salt of the earth, sophisticated, headstrong, and traditional.
You got die
And
traits. Yeah.
Die traits, yeah. Affinity for plants and mark of privilege.
And then you are down to earth.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Now we know our characters, and I think it's time to step headlong into this crazy adventure. So I think the first thing we see is the like bell on the top of the opera house, and it starts ringing, basically to signify, aha, the opera is going to begin, and the district knows it, and it's going to be this whole big thing. It's a beautiful bell, kind of like ringing out over the town. We get a pullback shot as we see the kind of like droves of nobility who are walking up the stairs into the opera house, and we see some text on the bottom of the screen that says the Harmony Opera House. And
Great name.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, we see, and the Harmony Opera House, the city of Anasteire in the country of Auvergne. And we see various nobility making their way into the house. And we get like a little bit of a montage as we see each of the characters. We see Joe and Vivienne walking up the steps. What do you look like, Joe, I guess first, and then just kind of describe for us a little bit of like what you're doing as you're walking into the opera house.
I am played by the beautiful and beloved Emma Stone.
Yeah.
But with her red hair, with her spicy red hair. So, I mean, Joe is, she's dressed in very noble-like clothes, very, I would say fancy clothes for this occasion, since they're going to the opera, even more sophisticated than normal. Probably has her hair up like nice in like a nice little bun. But it's glistening red. It's gorgeous. It stands out. And I would say right now she's just she's talking to Vivienne, just signing away, going, that type of thing.
Translation for us.
How are you feeling?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we kind of like pan over to Vivienne first. I guess. What do you sign back?
I mean, probably just like fine.
Yeah.
She is played by. Do you pronounce her name Maya?
Yeah, Maya Mitchell.
Okay, Maya Mitchell. She is also dressed a little fancier than normal. She's probably got like a light, like violet dress. I didn't mean for this to work out the way it did, but like a lavender colored dress.
Yeah.
I see what you did.
On accident. And yeah, I mean, it's just like it's a very simple yet elegant, like flowy dress. Her hair is probably also up. Yeah, just walking and talking to Joe.
Yeah, certainly. And we start to like pull back from you guys, so we can't quite see what you're signing, and then we see you walk in to this, beautiful entrance chamber, right? Like these high ceiling chandeliers. There's like frescoes like painted across the top of the ceiling. Just beautiful like marble floors. Everything is like shining and brilliant. So you see just magnificent noble ladies and lords just kind of milling about, talking to each other. We then follow one kind of like, we kind of pan off to the side and then go down a staircase where like normally you don't see a whole lot of nobles going down this staircase, and then we kind of go into a side door, and we're going down this like kind of like less nice looking hallway all of a sudden, and then we're just kind of like going down, the camera's like kind of going pretty fast down this hallway, and then we kind of come up some stairs, and we're now backstage of the opera house. We see various people, like putting their costumes on, getting ready, warming up, that sort of thing. We see a couple of people with like violins walk by as they're like walking to where the orchestra would be. And we see Marguerite. What is she doing? What does she look like? What do we kind of see from this little bit of her?
Well, as Marguerite, I am played by the lovely Scarlett Johansson with nice blonde hair that is currently not down. It's like up in a like bun, so it's not in the way for whatever, if we're wearing wigs in the costume or not. But I'm just in whatever costumes we're set to be in as the ensemble for the opera that is about to be performed, and I am just kind of in the corner stretching and eyeing everybody in the room.
Sure, yeah. I think this particular opera is kind of a fantastical one. There's like lots of like magical creatures and stuff that are featured in this one. So you see, I think in the background we see like a couple of people with like angel wings, like kind of like they're putting on like these costumes that involve like these angel wings. A couple of people have like swords and armor and stuff, but it's all, like costume props. And I think Marguerite, you probably are let's see, what would you actually be in this particular performance tonight? What costume do you have? Do you have an idea of what like part you obviously just like an ensemble part, but like what do you think?
There's angels and fantastical things.
Not all the characters are, but yeah.
Maybe I could be like, there's maybe like 3 pixies.
Okay. Yeah.
That I'm one of the pixies who's in it.
Yeah. So there's like a trio of like woodland fairies or whatever, right? Yeah, that and it's like you and these 2 other women. You hate these 2 other women so much. Like they're just they get on your nerves all the time, but you're stuck with them right now.
They were handed everything to get here.
Yeah, so we see you kind of maybe just eyeing one of them as they like are warming up their voices.
Oh,
and stuff.
also
yeah.
I realized one of my beliefs, it was like going way too big. I'm thinking still like Dungeons and Dragons goals mode. So I switched it to hard work is more valuable than raw talent. I will impress the instructors with my improvement.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
because I'm bad at things right now.
Fair. Yeah. Okay, cool. And so we kind of watch someone as one of the violin players walks down into the space like below the stage, and we kind of like follow them, and then we pan up and we see the audience, right, as they start to mill in. People are starting to sit down. We see the normal audience just kind of like in the normal seats, but then we see all these like various box seats for important nobles. And we focus on one particular seat, as there is a I mean, it's up to him, I guess, what he looks like. But we see Marco Tisby sitting in the audience here.
I thought I was called here after the murder.
No, you're gonna be here. No, because everybody's gonna be here. We already talked about this. Remember?
I don't remember this at all. I remember saying that I got called here by my uncle because of everything that happened.
I feel like we touched base on a different idea.
I don't remember that at all.
Okay, so the idea I had was
because that's the whole reason I have an uncle.
Right. So let's do this then. Let's actually have a brief conversation. So I think we kind of just go through the audience, and then we go up to we go through the auditorium, back out into the main like chamber, and we see a certain gentleman by the name of Mr. Bertrand Crozier. And this is your uncle. This is what he looks like. He's played by Woody Harrelson. Bit of a stout man, and he is dressed in like a fine suit, and he's talking to you. And I think you're having this conversation about why he called you here. So my idea was he called you here particularly because he wanted to like help you out with your situation, but he didn't know exactly how. Like he was just like, come here and I'll help you find something to do. Mm-hmm. Right? I'll help you find a job. And so for right now, he's just like, here you just got here. There's a night out on the opera. Just on the house. Like just enjoy this before you have to like go into the world.
You see Marco, and he's kind of he's played by Jake Gyllenhaal, which means he's drop dead gorgeous. Apparently,
yeah, it does. I mean, have you seen him?
I mean, I see him, but I don't know. Anyway, point being is he is sitting there, and he's standing there kind of awkwardly because like at the same point, like one, he's jaded. He's like this isn't his thing.
Yeah.
He's used to working probably like more manual labor, a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, actually no. Lately, it's been a lot of manual labor. He used to be educated. He was
exactly.
You were bit of a detective at a time. I was a lawyer at a time, but he's been like so out of this used to be what he knew, but now he's just so out of it that he's like just feels awkward in here. Especially the fact that he does not look like he's dressed for the opera. He's dressed like he came out of he's dressed like he looks like he's one of the stagehands maybe that's working behind the scenes.
Right.
Literally.
So you have nice clothes on, but it's like nice in a way that it's supposed to be a commoner blending in with nobility so as not to offend them by having dirty clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, but it still's like I don't look like I'm dressed nicely. I look like I look like a stagehand.
Yeah, and so I think throughout this entire montage of people, we have gotten like the theme, the Lavender Shadows theme, like the haunting piano and the opera kind of as we've gone through the whole thing. And I think it fades here as we come up to you two and we hear that you two are in the middle of a conversation. And so I think Mr. Crozier says, I told you that we could find you some better clothes.
Here's my question. If he's my uncle, is he Finlish?
No, I
Not
think he's
necessarily.
half Finnish. I think he's half Finnish.
Ah, darn.
He's-
I just wanted you to speak in an
Look, he
no.
married into the family.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, he has some Finnish blood, but he's lived here for most of his life. So
darn. I just wanted you to speak.
I had a particular idea of what the guy's going to sound like before we came up with that accent. So, he says, yeah, right. Like, I told you that we could find you other clothes.
Actually, let me check. So let me
check.
check.
It only take a moment to have my tailor fit it for you.
I'm not using your tailor. Wait. This is gonna just weird. If I ever just randomly say crocodile, it's because that gets my mouth in the right position.
Yeah.
I'm not using your tailor.
All right. And you look like a stagehand, Marco.
I know. That's why I didn't want to come.
Well,
Look,
you have a nice seat anyway. Right below the owner of the opera house himself. Well, the co-owner.
That just makes it more like,
It's a nice spot, I promise you.
I get it. I mean, I'm thick-skinned, so maybe I wouldn't let that kind of stuff get to me. I'm trying to think of how he would act.
Yeah.
He's like, why are you wasting this money on me? I could have used this for other things.
It's not a waste. I co-own the opera house with Lord Maxence Bechard. It's literally not. There's no cost coming out of this. We don't necessarily fill up every day anyway.
Is he like holding the ticket?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So I'll just kind of really aggressively just grab it out of his hand.
Yeah.
Like maybe just like pulling it with me, like kind of like just like pulling it. Fine. To kind of take his jacket, kind of wrap himself in a little bit, just walk through, kind of clearly unhappy.
I promise you'll like it. The celestial trumpet is one of our best. I'll find you after the performance, Marco.
I want to say maybe he made a rude gesture to him as he's walking away.
Yeah, and I think we hear a couple of like noble ladies like gasp audibly. It's like, oh my gosh, like he just did that. Yeah, and then they kind of like make way for you as you like kind of storm off into the auditorium, and then we pan over and we see Joe and Vivienne. I mean, you guys are like, coming into the main like chamber here right before you go into like the double doors that lead into the auditorium. And I think Vivienne, I mean, you came here because you're going on a date, right? Yeah. And so you're going on a date with one young Lord Frederick Kleber, and he looks like this. Played by Freddie Thorpe. A dashing and handsome young man. I don't think you've ever really like talked to him yourself, but you've seen him at various functions, and he's always been rather handsome and charming and all that sort of thing. And so yeah, like he is your date for this evening, and so I think he actually like meets you. He notices you. He's talking to a couple of his friends, and he walks over. He's dressed in like fine, suit and tails sort of a thing. The kind of like kerchief sort of thing around his neck, and he walks with perfect posture over to you, hands behind his back, and he leans down, then grabs your hand, kisses it, and says, "Lady Auguste, a pleasure." He kind of like looks at Joe.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask, how known is it that I'm deaf?
I think it's pretty known.
I mean,
I don't know why
like,
it wouldn't be.
knows, but yeah.
Yeah.
And we can decide, like, it's up to you how well you want to be able to read lips, and how much you need to interpret. But
yeah.
So, I mean, one thing I do know about you, and I'm pretty sure we established this, is you were rather sheltered as a child. You didn't really go out a whole lot, and it's only in the more recent months when Joe has been teaching you the sign language that you've actually gone out and done various functions and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, she probably reads lips a little bit, but like it's harder on other people. Like she can probably read Joe's lips pretty well because she's used to like seeing her speak, but
right. So you're probably better with people you're familiar with, like your mom and your dad.
Right, exactly. Because like she grew up having to watch them and try to figure out what they're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, she just signs.
Yeah, I mean, she just says, "Nice to meet you too."
Yeah. And he says, "Have you ever seen the Celestial Trumpet before? I hear it's one of the Harmony's best performances."
I love this.
Joe signs.
Yeah. He says, "No, I've never seen it before. I'm excited."
As you should be. It is a pleasure to be out of the town with you.
I don't know what do people say to that?
The pleasure is all mine.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You just say, "Feel the
right.
same."
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, she feels the feeling is mutual.
Yeah, and I think he turns to you and he says, Lady Boulay, it's great to see you as well.
Oh?
What do you say?
It's nice to see you too.
Your mic is cutting out a little bit every once in a while. Yeah, and he kind of nods briefly and then says, "Well, should we go in?"
Yeah, let's go in.
All right, this way. And he walks in. And then you guys are met by a servant who kind of like rushes to like go over to you. And this is just kind of like a nondescript servant, and he says, "Oh, Lady Bleuet, Lady Auguste, I here to give you special tickets. Lord Maxence Bechard, the owner of the establishment, is pleased to just to invite you to his box, if you would so very well be pleased to join him. It's the best spot in the house," and he insists. Hands you like 2 tickets.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, yeah. Signing back and forth to each other. And so, Joe, you know Lord Maxence Bechard. He is he's one of the co-owners of the establishment. He's so there's Maxence Bechard and Mr. Bertrand Crozier. Crozier is a middle class guy. He's rich, but he's like not noble blood. The Maxence Bechard is like the noble proprietor of the place. And also, one thing you know about Maxence Bechard is he's kind of the leader of your book club thing that you run.
Pleasure, then.
He's seen, he's seen as an eccentric by everyone. He's in charge of and your club is called the Forsaken Quill Society.
Ooh, the Forsaken Quill Society. I like it.
And so this is, your guess is he's inviting you because he knows you and was like, you're coming to the opera, please.
So then
come
this
and join
isn't.
us.
So then Joe would have signed that with a bit more enthusiasm.
Sure.
Then.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say he was the leader of a cult, and I'm a little disappointed you didn't say that.
Cult is a subjective word.
Yeah. I'm sure there are some people who, if they knew about the Forsaken Quill Society, would think it's a cult. Viviane, what you know about Maxence Bechard is he is the current heir to the Auguste title and estate. Because your father doesn't have a direct heir, he's like the closest relative. So he's a relative of yours. He's a cousin of yours. So you know him passably. He's probably been to your house every once in a while, but like he's seen as an eccentric, so not really a huge. People don't necessarily invite him to everything necessarily. He invites himself to plenty of things, but yeah. So do you guys accept and go up then? Okay.
We accept.
Yeah, cool. So we see you guys kind of go up to the box there, and as we see you guys kind of like go off to one of the staircases to go up into the higher level, we kind of cut back to Marguerite in the backstage area, and I think one of the ladies, and I really need to bring up a random name generator so I don't keep having to think of this. Wow, these are weird names. And this is one of the 3 fairies, the 3 pixies. One of the people you've been working closest with as you performed this. Her name is Meloda Thomas, and she is brunette, kind of stuck up. Again, she's pretty talented, but she has a ambition that's too high for her talent. Like she's one of the people who like very much is like indignant about this role that she got. Like I think maybe one of the comments you heard from her was like, "I am equal with Marguerite," right? Like at one point you heard that in a closed off conversation that you just happened to be passing by. But yeah, so she comes over to you and I think she says, "LeBlanc."
Melota.
I do hope that you get the 7th movement right. Your footwork was shoddy last time.
Thank you for the tip. I'll keep that in mind.
And she kind of just stares at you a little bit, not knowing how to take that because it was neutral enough that she can't really be offended by it. And then she kind of like sniffs and then walks away. We just see that little snippet. And then we cut back to the top of the box. And we see Joe and Vivienne step in, and Maxence Bechard kind of greets you. And Maxence is played by this dude. I don't remember his actor name off the top of my head. I didn't write it down.
He'll be dead soon. It won't matter.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's just kind of like an odd-looking guy, right? Like he smiles brightly when he sees you guys. Has this kind of hair slicked back, fine tails, and he says, "Ah, Joe, so good to see you.
It's nice to see you as well.
And this is the young Vivienne Auguste that I have heard so very much about.
This is Vivienne.
A pleasure to meet you, young lady." And I think he does a sign or two. He signs himself with the language, because he's one of the your club is like one of the reasons that you know the language in the first place.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's like a healthy relief, or a little bit of a refreshing thing he just signs to you. And he kind of like quirks an eyebrow as he sees Frederick Kleber like come up behind you, and he says, and is this your accompaniment for the evening?
And she just signs him.
Yeah,
and she just signs it's her date.
Yeah, her date. Yeah,
but like doesn't say anything.
Yeah, Frederick Kleber, I think, has like a little bit of like a tight-lipped smile where he's just like, etiquette demands that he smile and nod at this man because he outranks him at this point. But you can tell that he kind of just feels a little weird about this guy, because everybody does. And Maxence just kind of like reaches out to shake his hand and says, a pleasure, Lord Kleber. So, please, sit. The performance should begin any moment. I'm very, very happy with the way this has turned out.
I'm excited to see it.
Yes, me too. Let me know if you need anything, of course. I'll be here to attend to your every whim. You're my guest tonight. And he walks over to the kind of like the edge of the balcony. He has like a seat, like a kind of like a fancier seat, like right next to the edge, and he has a little bit of like a ledge that he has laid out some like a loaf of bread and some like wine. And he kind of like sits in front of it, and then like almost like reverently he like and as the lights are starting to like dim and people are like getting set up and the performance is about to start, he takes like one piece of the bread and then like the cup, and he like is like kind of like muttering something to himself, and he takes some bread and then takes some wine and sets it down and kind of like goes like this, and then like intently watches the beginning of the performance.
Caleb, I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
I just realized this, and I think this fits in with my character. Yeah. Is scalping tickets illegal?
Would
it be in this time?
I don't know. Like,
because I know some places frown. I don't know if it's actually technically illegal anywhere, but I'm wondering like if this would be frowned upon.
I mean, if you did that, oh man, you would very much offend.
You'd be insulting your uncle.
You would be insulting him pretty much.
That in that case, I probably wouldn't do it just for his sake.
Yeah, you know that if you ever find out about that, like he would be very insulted.
I was just sitting here wondering, like, this is what my character would do in this situation, probably.
If you just like think about it in like a thought bubble.
Yeah, like he's thinking, like, I could sell this.
You could sell this, but also, and I think by the time you're thinking that, like, you're like sitting in the auditorium.
Plus,
and like this show's about to begin, and you're like, okay.
Plus, he might have been like waiting for me to like walk in.
Right, exactly, yeah. He probably comes and checks on you at one point and waves.
He wouldn't let me leave because he thought I might do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so then we see the lights start to dim, the orchestra starts to like, do their like warming up thing. The everybody's like, and we all know the sound, right, where the orchestra's warming up and hasn't started playing yet.
I know that sound very well.
Yeah. And we hear that. And then we hear the first sting of the opera of the orchestra playing the overture, and then we just see on the screen Lavender Shadows as we get the like orchestra sting. And then we cut to like the middle of the performance, right? And we cut to a particular point in the performance where we see the Marguerite and the other two pixies come out, and you know, they're dancing and singing, and like basically like they're giving advice to the main, like the prima donna of the performance, the like the princess who is like the main character of this opera. And I want you to roll, Marguerite. I want you to get us to see how well you do.
Okay, how do I do this?
Yeah, so let's see. I think the role you're probably doing is acting. That's like the main thing you're doing.
Okay.
But then so the way that this would work is, so normally we'd be like, all right, what do you want to accomplish, right? What is your intent? We know that you have a performance to do, but what is your particular intent with this performance? Do you want to merely impress? Do you want to do your job well? Do you like, what is your specific wording of the intent you want to accomplish?
I would like to do everything well, but particularly step number 7.
Right. So you want to, is this particularly to show Melota that you are doing well, or to just prove to like, are you drawing attention to yourself? Like, what's the, or just do it so well that whoever is noticing, like, particularly would notice that you're good at it, but not in a way that necessarily draws attention to yourself as like, oh, look at me.
That one.
Yeah. So you're trying to just do well, just actually do excellent at your performance. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's acting, primarily. And I'll go ahead and find the ob here. So we basically we decide the intent, and then we say, all right, to accomplish that intent, what's your best task? And that's usually a skill or a stat. And so I'll look at acting real quick, and we'll see what kind of obs acting are. So this is...
I'm not good at acting. I'm not good at any of this.
You're not very good at acting.
That's the whole point. But if I can dance and sing, that can help.
Okay, so acting is normal. So the obs that are listed here is like a mummery is like ob 1, a morality play is ob 2. So I think ob 2. I think ob 2 is your role. Like it's maybe ob 3, because this is a fancy opera.
Okay.
Yeah, let's say
whatever you think.
Let's say base ob 3. Because this is like your performance for the whole opera, basically.
Yes, yes.
And so acting is your skill, but of course you can try to fork things in.
I'm forking everything in.
Yeah. What do you want? What would help you in this situation to do good?
Well,
at your
I mean, dance and sing.
Mm-hmm. Dance and sing.
Obviously. I mean, I feel like seduction would be helpful in any performance.
Give me an argument. Exactly how are you using your seducing skills to be good at opera performance?
With my sonorous voice.
And
because that's seduction. That's my voice.
Right. You can make a linked test with seduction.
What does that mean?
So that means you make a preliminary test before acting to basically say, I am doing this acting seducingly, right? Like in a seductive manner.
Yes, yes.
And like there are plenty of guys in the audience, and I mean, probably some ladies too, who may be apt to this.
It's the Renaissance. I don't know how apt they'd
Well, they'd all be closeted, but I'm just saying.
Look, I'm Scarlett Johansson. I'm gorgeous.
But yeah, right. Like there's definitely a way that you could attempt to do this in a manner that portrays the sexual nature of like whatever this performance is, and like you're seductive. But that's a separate, I think, role to like flavor your acting as instead of just automatically getting a helping dice. So let's see. Seduction is normally.
I'm really good at seduction and not anything else.
Yes, I know. The base obstacle is always the victim's will, so I guess it would be the like common will exponent of the crowd. So let's say ob 4 is your seduction. And so seduction, the only way link tests work is if you get the ob, nothing happens either way. You just kind of succeed, but you don't get any extra die. If you fail, then you increase the obstacle by 1. If you succeed, if you get 1 or more over the obstacle, then you get an extra die.
Okay.
But if you get 4, nothing bad happens. Like you don't get an extra ob.
Okay.
So you can also fork things into this test. I think conspicuous makes sense in this.
Conspicuous.
I think noble wise.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Most of the audience are nobles, so you're probably like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
Yeah. So
does that mean I roll?
Yes. So go ahead and click on that.
11d6.
No. So first
Or
you're gonna roll
8d6.
Click on the d6 next to seduction on your skill list there, and it should open up a window.
Okay, modifiers.
So modifier,
2.
put in 2 modifiers.
Okay.
And then
I hit submit and it's gonna roll.
And no, submit and just go ahead and click submit.
Okay.
And then it'll bring up Artha.
Artha,
so
0.
None of you have any fate or persona yet. But if you had persona, this would be the space where you could say, I'm going to spend a persona point to give myself an extra die here. That is also an option you can do in the future. So you're just going to click submit and keep going. And then the last thing you'll pop up is the base obstacle. You're going to put that as 4.
So it's 4.
Yep.
Oh,
and then you're going to click submit and it will roll.
Okay, first roll of the whole campaign. Here we go.
Is a seduction roll. Okay.
Oh. Nothing happens.
Yeah, if you had fate, you could re-roll those 2 6s that you got, and you can always know what dice you rolled by going over
hovering
cursor over the successes, and you'll see what dice you rolled. But yes, nothing bad happens. You're definitely seductive, but it doesn't give you an extra advantage necessarily.
I'm not extra. Okay, so for acting, then I can fork in dance, sing, noble wise, because it's for nobles.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I mean, we just established that as something to help my seduction, so I would think.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Would conspicuous also help?
You particularly described
I
it
wasn't
as
trying
not drawing
to
attention
stand
to
up.
for acting, yeah.
So it's just it'd be acting. You said ob.
So
3.
It's gonna be an ob 3.
You said.
Yep, and then you'll have 3 modifiers.
3 modifiers.
Yep.
0 ob 3. Okay, here we go.
Let's
the
see
first
how good you are at acting.
Real thing. Probably not very good.
Oh,
yep.
No.
Yep, that's a fail.
I'm not that good.
So
I mess up step 7.
So one thing you can do, and this doesn't count for seduction because it doesn't need routine tests, but it will always list what type of test it was right below the skill there. And so you're going to add right next to your acting, you'll see a bunch of bubbles: routine, difficult, and challenging. Go ahead and mark a bubble for routine. You have 1 routine test worked towards.
I thought it was difficult because it was ob 3.
No, so it because you had 5 dice total against ob 3, that's 2 less than the ob, which means it's a routine.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on. There's a whole chart on like how to test these, but it does it automatically for us. So, yes, so it's a routine test for you. So you need 2 routine tests and 1 difficult or 1 challenging to advance your acting to 3. So you're working on it at least, right? You've made a roll to attempt to be good at acting. And this performance,
I'm not yet.
This performance taught you something about how much you still have to learn about acting.
A lot.
So, Marguerite, tell us what you mess up.
Oh, it's definitely step 7.
The 7th movement.
Melota got in my head. Yeah. The
Yeah.
7th movement. She got in my head. I was focusing on. Well, actually, I think I did the movement 7 perfectly. I think it was the movement before and after that I messed up getting ready for movement 7.
Sure.
I nailed movement 7.
Yeah.
And everything around it was utter trash.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah. So we see you, right? Like, we see like a montage of this performance, and we see like how you don't quite hit your mark on the stage, right? You don't get quite into place at a couple of parts, and then you hit an off note here or there, and like you see Melota like look at you like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, and then like the prima donna like misses one of her lines because you don't like say your line at the right part. And so the song, the orchestra gets like, she gets a little bit off from the orchestra, and it's like this whole big thing. But eventually it kind of smooths itself out. But there's definitely like an audible like notice, like you heard a couple of whispers in the crowd, and your face is probably like just burning, like as you are like, ugh. And so we get to the like 8th movement of this particular part of the opera, right after the 8th movement, so probably the 9th, and then suddenly, so we see Joe and Vivienne in the box seat, and you just see Lord Maxence Bechard kind of like cough a little bit, and then he like holds a hand to his chest, and he stands up really suddenly and looks back at you and kind of just looks straight at you, Joe, and is about to say something, and then he stumbles, and he's right by the ledge, right? So he stumbles, kind of grasps the edge, and then faints, and his body just whoop, flips over
on top of me,
the edge of the balcony, and he crashes. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll a die of fate, and on a 1, it hits you, Marco. Like it literally like smack dab on you.
Either way, I will probably scream out some obscenities.
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Oh my god.
Falls directly on me. Wait a second.
It's amazing.
No, I probably start yelling out obscenities.
So literally what happens is okay, so the prima donna is like has a clear voice, is, you know, singing out this ringing note as the orchestra comes to a crescendo, and right as the like cymbals crashed at the last like high peak of this whole thing, right after that cymbal crash, another crash as Maxence Bechard lands directly on top of you. So there's just a man suddenly drops on top of you from the balcony. And I guess you probably like take an injury. Like that's a man. There's probably
You're
a
the one
here.
who said "and falls on me, Seth." It's
Well, no, he already said I was sitting right beneath him.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is gonna happen.
But my idea was that you were just gonna fall next to you. But I mean,
yeah,
I had to roll to find out.
Wait, reduced hesitation for shock and surprise by 3. So actually,
Yeah, you'll definitely have to roll a steel test here. But I think first you'll have to roll another test. I'm trying to figure out what this test would be exactly.
So I might actually not be. Oh, I have a steal of 6 if that means anything. So I might be like,
yeah, exactly.
I might yell out in pain if anything.
Well, so your intent is what? Do you want to try to get out of the way in time? Do you want to like try to?
Well, I
notice
don't see it
happens?
coming.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what would you rather? What would make more sense for Marco's character? Is it just like taking the damage, or is it trying to dodge out of the way of it?
I'm just trying to think of a good reason why he'd dodge out of the way.
I mean, if you had the trait Sixth Sense, this would be a perfect time to be like, danger, but you
don't.
Yeah, you
I have Rabble Rouser, Shrewd, Drop Dead, Gorgeous, Chronologue, Odd, Frugal, and Emotional. Oh, and Cold-Blooded, Jaded, and Thick Skin.
Yeah.
So I'd love a reason for me to be getting out of the way, but I can't honestly think of a good reason.
Yeah, let's just have you make a power test.
What's that? How do I do that?
It's a stat. So in your stats and skills there, right at the top center, you'll see power.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm trying to decide what the ob is going to be here.
I have a 4. I don't know what that means.
You're rolling 4 dice with it.
Okay.
I think it's just an ob 2. Yeah, it's an ob 2. So go ahead and click on that D6 next to power. And I don't think there's anything you can fork into this because it's also a stat. I think you just roll it flat, and we'll see.
So I can't get any like. Well, what about?
Unless you could argue for like an advantage die if you have a particular thing you can think about.
Well, like I have thick skin. Well, that's not what thick skin means.
Yeah, it's thick skin in an emotional sense.
Oh, cold-blooded, reduce hesitation for death. Oh, hesitation for pain.
Yeah, that's steel test. That'll
not
be
the
next.
same thing.
That'll be
Okay.
after you, the guy.
Where did it go? Okay, so what do I put for modifiers? Anything?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that helps you particularly in this situation. It's
And
just
then
whether or
put-
not you just like grab him and don't just like ugh.
Okay, and then so, what do I? So I just click submit.
Yeah, you click submit on that, and you'll click submit through Artha, and then on base obstacle you'll put 2.
And then I cross my fingers and click submit.
Yep, you're good. All right.
So it lands in my lap, and I'm just like,
Okay, so that's what happens, right? You don't get hurt by this. You're fine in that resort. Obviously, you get like probably a little bruised, but like,
maybe it like knocks the wind out of me.
yeah,
or
knocks the wind out
something,
of you for certain. But
no yelling
actually,
obscenities.
Don't actually get hurt. And routine tests never count for stats, so you don't get any test for this. But now you're gonna roll a steel test.
I'm pretty good at this.
You are very good at this, yes. So let's see. This is probably, what is it? Shock, like surprise, death.
Which I have.
Yeah. What are your things?
Reduce hesitation for death, violence, and pain by 1. Reduce hesitation for shock and surprise by 3.
Yeah. So I think you can reduce your hesitation by 4 for this roll. I think that makes
So modifiers
sense.
4.
It's a dead guy who just fell on you. So.
So modifiers 4.
No. So steel.
okay.
You'll just roll steel. Let me actually look at the steel section real quick because there might be another modifier that we add here.
I'm cold-blooded and jaded.
Exactly.
Get off me!
What the heck? Where's your problem? Okay, so steel. You're being startled by something mundane. Like this isn't magical or whatever, so you can add 2 modifier dice.
Okay.
And then add so you're gonna add 2 modifier dice. Click submit through Artha, and then your base obstacle is gonna be, so your hesitation is 6, yeah.
Huh?
Your hesitation is 6, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so -4 for your trait, and then +1 for witnessing a person being killed. So it's going to be ob 3 for your steel test.
Okay, and then click submit.
Yep. So you don't hesitate at all. It's literally just falls on you, and you're just like, you can do whatever you want. There's no.
Get off of me! Shove him off.
And that is when the place goes berserk.
Oh yeah, I mean, because you probably heard Joe like scream out like his name as she like looks over like the balcony, and she's just like,
"Yep, what do you guys do?"
I literally, Joe, the first thing she does is like, "Vivian, stay," like, and I'm just like to her date, I'm like, "You watch her," and then I just run downstairs to like try to figure out what just happened.
Do I mark anything?
No, not for
Okay.
steel is marked differently because the obstacle is usually your hesitation. There's a different thing at the end of the session. We'll go through steel advancement.
Okay.
So, yep. Yeah. So Joe runs down the stairs to gotta like check this out. Marco, I mean, you're the person right here. Do you do anything in the immediate? Like a dead guy just fell on you.
So probably maybe what happens is my detective instincts kick in. So I push him off me, like saying like, get off me, because I don't know what just happened.
Right, exactly. You probably think a guy just like fell on you from a seat next to you or something, right? Like,
or like some guy just jumped, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, so I sort of like he pushed him off me, and I noticed like he's not moving.
Yeah.
I probably get an idea of like, wait, what the heck? So I flip him over, and maybe that's when I realize he's dead.
He's dead, yeah.
And like the people near me start screaming. I'm just like I like look over his body, see if I can find like if he got hurt or something. Maybe.
Is he already dead, or is he still in the process of dying?
You can check, Marco.
How would I check that?
I mean, I guess that's a test, but it's not like a terribly difficult test. So I'd just say you can do it. Like,
okay,
you just lean down, check his pulse. He's dead.
Oh, great. Fun. I mean, we knew he was gonna die.
I look around. Do I see like? Do I?
Do you want to make?
Actually, someone just post something in the chat.
Oh, that's true. Actually, everyone should make a steel test.
Well, not Emily's character.
I mean, I guess she's on stage at this time, I think.
But she can't see what happened. Probably it's probably really far away.
I mean, she probably saw the guy fall from the balcony.
Something happens.
That's true.
Yeah. So, everybody, just go ahead and make a steel test. The obstacle is going to be your hesitation, +1, and everybody will get 2 modifiers.
The obstacle is hesitation +1.
Yes.
Okay, so wait, I'm confused.
And you get 2 modifiers.
So your hesitation is listed on your character sheet right below steel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
mine's a 7.
Mine's a 7, and I'm rolling
6.
7. Okay. So you get
So 2 modifiers.
2 modifiers.
And 1 obstacle hesitation plus your +1.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So literally, I'm gonna be the only one at this place not freaking out.
Well, we're about to find out.
So wait, okay. So I click roll steal, right? Click 2 modifiers, right?
Yep.
Click submit, and then what about Artha?
Just
what
ignore
is
that. Yep.
Okay. Base obstacle is a 3.
Is your hesitation +1.
Oh God, an 8?
Yes.
There's no way I can make this.
Yes.
Oh, I was so
Oh,
close.
my
wow.
God.
You got so
I was
many
so
6s.
close.
Okay, so the way the steal works, steal automatically open ends, which means all the 6s automatically re-roll, which is why you got that such high of a roll, because you got one more success than you actually rolled in dice. So you had 5 6s, which is crazy.
Okay, can we just say that that's a success? Like, come
No,
on.
it's not.
No.
So what this means
It's
is
red.
the margin of failure is how many like moments you hesitate. You do something. So there are a couple of options for steal. So if you fail a steal test, you can do one of the following things. Stand and drool. So, gasp, stand his ground, mouth hanging open, just like, fall prone and beg for mercy, which maybe doesn't make sense in this situation, but would in combat. Or you can run screaming. So opt to run screaming, flee at the top speed away from the source of terror, and scream. Or swoon. A player may have his character pitch backwards in a swoon. The character is dazed and utterly unaware of his surroundings while in the swoon. So which of those options do each of you choose?
I mean, so I guess I can't run down the stairs then if I fail my
At
steal
least,
test. So
I mean, you hesitate for one moment, which is long
okay.
enough
So,
for
I mean, I
Marco to
guess
do
she's
his
just like-
thing,
she
and then you
just, like-
run. Yeah, you stand and drill. You're just like, huh!
Can I scream and swoon faint and hope that one of my fellow ensemble members catches me?
Okay, yeah, you can swoon. Yeah. Just like,
Yeah, I think
oh my gosh.
Vivienne would end up doing the same thing.
So you're swooning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I know where my uncle is? Or is he? Do I know he's nearby?
You don't know where he is. Yeah.
Well, you said he saw me and waved at me earlier.
Yes, way at the beginning of the performance. You don't know where he is
Okay.
since then. I'm
So
gonna real quick roll for Lord Frederick Kleber to see if he fails his steal.
He better fail it really badly because I don't
because
like
if he
him.
doesn't, then I want him to catch Vivienne, obviously.
Right.
Right?
He feels
Ooh, wow,
super
he doesn't
badly.
actually have that good of a steal.
Yeah, because he's a punk.
Okay. So yeah, he failed. So he hesitates for 2 beats. Yeah.
So I probably, honestly, because I don't know anyone here, so I probably just yell out Bertrand's name, Bertrand, like I want to
Yeah.
Okay, do I know who this person is?
You could make a.
Because if I know my uncle, did he mention him to me?
Make a perception test for me real quick.
Okay, so what would that?
Yeah, make a 2 perception test.
Do I have anything to add to
perception's
that?
No. Stats usually don't have anything to it.
Okay.
You can't fork anything into them.
So no modifiers?
Nope, no modifiers.
And
Opt 2. Just see if you recognize him. Nope.
not a clue.
Yeah, you don't recognize
That
him
was really
offhand.
bad.
It was.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, but it makes sense that I don't know him.
So many failed rolls in this campaign so far.
My perception's pretty good too.
So Frederick Kleber just stands and drools, he's just like, what? But yeah, Vivienne, you just you were in a chair, so you just kind of faint a little bit at first,
Yeah.
you don't fall over.
So yeah, I'm just yelling out Bertrand's name
But
because
yeah,
I don't know
Marco,
what to
you're
do.
just like Bertrand. Okay, yeah. Marguerite, you fall over, nobody catches you.
No one?
No. Yeah, you
Not
fall
even
over.
some of the super steeled people who are on stage with me?
No, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of super steeled people are on stage with you.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people.
I don't think anyone
No one would
catches you.
catch. Okay.
Does
But yeah,
Bertrand
Joe,
find
you're the
me?
person who hesitates the least after Marco. So you hesitate for a moment and then
I'm
run down
a
the stairs.
strong, independent woman. Well, no. Here's the thing, though. If Vivienne faints, she's gonna take care of Vivienne first.
Right. So you go over to Vivienne and be like, "Are you okay?"
Like.
Yeah,
Vivienne,
you
Vivienne.
recover after a moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
after 4 moments, I guess.
And I think I don't know. I think like, she could just hear the panic, so she's not going to go in the middle of the panic.
Right.
I guess. Can I make some kind of like investigation check or something? Like see like what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing exactly? What is your intention?
I mean, can I just like obviously like something happened to make him fall over and like clutch his chest. I mean, Joe can probably assume one of two things, right? She probably first assumes it's a heart attack, but she did see him drink some wine earlier, so
yeah. I mean, you could go and inspect the wine, I suppose.
Don't drink it.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, if you go over to the wine, I think. I mean, so you want to inspect the wine and see if it's poisoned.
Sure.
You don't have a skill for that, but there is a skill for that. So let's double check to see what that is. And you can roll it still, you just wouldn't necessarily succeed. Let's see. Poisons, the skill is like making poisons. So let's have you roll a poison wise. So what you're going to do real quick, what you're going to do is in being learned, so right under your skills there's a section called being learned.
Okay.
Go ahead and add a skill to that.
Okay, poison wise.
Yeah, poison wise, it's a perception based skill.
What?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
And then you're gonna click on that and roll it. And I don't think there's anything you can fork in or whatever. It's just you roll.
Okay.
And let's see what the ob was gonna be. Because a wise has particular obstacles.
Would murder wise do me any good right now?
Certainly, probably. Let's see. I think it's gonna be an ob 3 test. And so the way this works is when you're being learned, your obstacle automatically doubles. So you're rolling 6 dice against but just put in 3 and it will automatically do it for you. It will double it for you. But yeah, unlikely you will succeed, but we'll see.
Additional complications?
No.
Oh, nope.
Nope. Yeah.
I have no idea if it's poison or not.
So you're gonna go ahead and mark a bubble on that poison wise there.
Okay.
And because you have a 6 in perception, it only takes you 4 tests to learn a skill. So you have 3 more tests on poison wise, and you'll open the skill poison wise.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, you take a look at this wine. You maybe like taste it ever so slightly, and then kind of spit it out, and you're just like, okay, do I know anything about poisons? Like, have I studied this at all? And you kind of rack your brain briefly, and you're like, no, I don't. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so you take a moment to do that, Marco.
What does murder wise do again? I can't find it, and the PDF is not searchable. Yeah,
so it's a wise, just knowing about a thing. So knowing about murder, I mean, you could roll a murder wise test right now to look for signs of it being a murder, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's gonna be an ob 3 test for you.
Do I get any modifiers?
I don't know. Do you have any skills that you could fork in?
Trying to remember. Street. Wait. Skills are skills the things on the stats and just things on the stats.
Brawling, inconspicuous. Those are your.
I have brawling, inconspicuous, streetwise.
Yeah, I don't think any of the skills
sleight
on
of
that
hand
list would help in this situation.
Not even streetwise.
No, streetwise is knowing about like the city and how to navigate it. Yeah.
But would brawling help? But I know like he got in a fight.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just straight murder wise here.
And none of my traits help either.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so no modifiers then.
Yep.
Okay, and then an ob. What did you say?
Ob 3. So actually, this test isn't possible, but with fate it wouldn't be. Oh wow, you got a 0.
Wow.
No successes. So go ahead
That's bad.
Mark a challenging test on your murder wise though.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so I think for maybe what happens is you look at this and you're like, this wasn't a murder. This was a heart attack. Like that's your first inclination. Is like, okay, the guy died of a heart attack.
Or would I think he died of a heart attack, or just not know what happened? If
I
it
think
was that or
I
not.
think because you failed, I'm
Okay.
gonna say you come to a false conclusion. You're like, I think it's just a heart attack. It doesn't seem like a murder to me.
Does the guy seem fat? Is the guy fat?
No, he's pretty skinny actually.
Okay. Heart attack.
Would I be able to use Noble Wise to try and see if I know who it would have been sitting up there in the box?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Yeah, I think Noble Wise would be a skill for that.
Noble
Yeah, you
Wise,
could do that.
and then Fork and Gossip Wise?
Yes,
For
for sure.
like
Yeah, because this guy's a
who would be
guy who has
talking
gossip
about
around. Yeah.
who's up there.
So you can make
Okay.
so after you regain your wits, you kind of like rack your brain a little bit. Make an ob2 Noble
Okay.
Wise test.
Nope.
Nope.
So many fails.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that
mark that routine? Yeah.
routine? Okay.
Yep. You don't know who the guy is. You're just like, I don't know.
Nope. Could be anybody.
Which is kind of funny because this is the guy who runs the opera, so apparently you just didn't pay attention enough to him.
Maybe he's just really far away.
Yeah, I mean, so I
I just
think
can't see very well.
I think what happens also is Frederick, after he comes to his kind of senses, he like goes over to you, Vivienne, as well, and then says, "Are you all right? Are you okay?"
I mean, I don't have Joe right next to me anymore, do I?
I mean, I'm still there. I'm just looking at the poison. But
Yeah.
if I see you come too, I'll go over. That's fine.
Okay.
And she wants to make sure you're okay too, but she just
Right.
like,
Yeah, I'm
you know,
just
she didn't
curious
want
if
to like
I
shake you
understand what
because
he's
like
saying.
that's not what you do to
Yeah.
a swooning person.
Right.
Like, you let them
I mean, I think it's
just have a
probably
moment.
even if you couldn't read his lips very well, it's probably pretty obvious what he's saying. Like he's just like, "Are you okay?" Like he looks concerned.
Yeah, I mean, she like nods.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he kind of like nods to himself and he says, "Ladies, wait here. I'll go find out what's going on." And then he like starts to head out. What?
Kara's very sad that he
I
died.
know, it's very sad. Yeah, and so so he's trying to like have you stay with her, Joe. That's what he's kind of implying.
I don't know. I mean, okay, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, Joe would want to stay, but at the same time, she's like, I need to know what's going on.
Mhm. And there are other people in the box, like.
But she doesn't necessarily trust any of those people.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vivienne would sign to her like, Joe, you can go. Like, I'm fine here.
Yeah, we see this moment of her like Joe's like, I want to
Like-
go check this out.
Okay, she's like, she's like,
Sorry, what was
no,
that?
I'm going. I said, okay. I said, fine. Okay, stay here.
Okay.
She's like, no, I'm going. You stay and you watch her.
Well,
you didn't know him. I know him.
I did know him. He's my cousin.
Well, I know him better, so
Okay,
we're in
I
the
mean,
same club together.
this sounds like you're making a persuasion test.
Okay.
It sounds like you're making some sort of test. So what?
I mean, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I'm not gonna wait for his response.
Yeah, you don't wait for his response. You just leave.
No.
But do
No
you
nonsense.
want him to stay? Do you want his words?
I
your
mean-
words to convince him to stay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like, if you're a true gentleman, you'll stay with your date.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's persuasion test for sure.
Okay.
Which you do not have.
I suck at all those things. Doesn't matter what character I am. I always suck at persuasion.
So go ahead and add persuasion to being learned.
Okay.
And basically, persuasion is convincing someone that it's in their best interest to do this, which makes sense. It should be in his best interest to stay with Vivienne.
So that would be under what? Will, power, agility, perception.
Will.
Okay, will. Okay.
You're
I
not
do
very
not
good.
have a very good will.
Yeah.
Okay, so could I say? Can I fork in? Let's see.
You cannot fork in being learned skills. So
Oh, you can't.
No, you
Oh
cannot.
no.
you could. I think I'm going to give you one advantage die just because it is like a pretty good argument. Like he probably
Okay.
should stay.
What is my base obstacle?
Your base obstacle is his will, which is
Oh no.
0. He has no will.
no, he has better will. than that.
Negative 3,000.
Let's see, what's his will? He has a will of 5. So yeah, unfortunately, you will not succeed on this test because it doubles.
Dang it. Okay, so wait, additional complications. So wait, how do I get advantage on this? Modifiers?
Yeah, modifiers just put in 1.
Okay. Submit 5. Gonna fail. That's okay. I always fail my persuasion checks.
Ooh, one
Wow.
success. Okay, so go ahead and you're not gonna mark a bubble because it was a challenging test before being doubled.
How do
So
I unmark it?
right next to the left,
Oh, got
there's
it.
a little like X
Got it.
bubble that appears. So what you're gonna do instead is you're gonna mark a challenging test on your will.
Okay.
So you're getting better at talking to people, very slowly.
Very-
Yeah. So
I
once
mean, she just straight up leaves still.
exactly.
but-
Yeah, you still leave. So you're just like, stay with her, and he's just like, no, I'm not gonna stay with her. I think he turns to you, Vivienne, and he says, what does he say? Because he's conflicted because he's like, Joe should stay, and I think he looks at you and he says, stay here. I'll try to get her back. Like I'll go get her and send her back.
She probably doesn't understand what he's saying, but okay.
He's trying to mouth it in a way that you would understand, but yeah. Yeah, and then he goes off. So, yeah, that happens. Yeah. So what does everybody else do?
I'm probably still yelling out Bertrand's name.
Right. Okay. Here, let's do this. Let's have you make a circles test. Right. That's what you roll to like get people to.
I know what
somewhere.
circles are, Caleb. I don't need to take a test on what's a circle and what's not.
Okay, so it's in attributes.
Okay.
And
I'm not good at circles.
Actually, wait. Do you guys have this guy as a relationship?
Yeah, he's the reason he exists.
Right, of course. Yeah. Never mind. You don't have to roll a circles test. You just automatically can have him show up.
Yeah. So I'm yelling out Bertrand.
Yeah, I think he shows up. Yeah. So you see Mr. Bertrand Crozier, and he stumbles into the aisle next to you, and you see, and he like looks, and his eyes widen, and he just says, "Oh no!" And he like runs over and like goes and like tries to feel his pulse, and he's like, "What happened?"
He's already dead. He fell out of. He kind of pointed like he fell down.
He fell out of his box. What happened? Did someone push him?
I don't know.
I don't know. Someone help me, Marco, help me take him. We have to get him away from here.
Okay, let's go. It's like he's freaking out. I'm just like, come on, let's go.
Yeah. So he's just like trying to like let's take him somewhere else so he's not like in the middle of the auditorium.
Yeah, well, I bet most of it's pretty cleared out by now.
Yeah, I mean, there's people running like chaos,
especially in this area.
Okay. Yeah. How long does it take Joe to get down there?
I think you probably like you are getting. Because the way the stairs work is the stairs don't go down into the auditorium. They go out to the entrance chamber, like from the upper boxes. And so what happens is they get out of the auditorium, like carrying him. At the same time, you get down the stairs, and then Fraser goes right after you. And I think he's saying, Joe, she needs to go back there. No one else understands her, Joe. And he's like saying that. He probably doesn't say Joe. He probably says Lady
Josephine.
Lady Belay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Because he wouldn't call you Joe. That doesn't make any sense.
No, nobody calls her Joe except
like
Vivienne.
Yeah.
And people from your
my inner circle,
club,
yeah. Like Max,
Sir Pascal
Maxie.
Maxence Bechard, yeah.
Maxence probably called me Joe.
Mm-hmm. But yes, you see this Finnish guy and Mr. Bertrand Crozier, who you know passively as the other owner of the establishment, like carrying the body, and then like a one or two other like servants of the establishment like are also helping. They're like carrying him to like Bertrand's office, basically, right? And you see this.
Okay, I mean, she just like goes up and she's like, "Is he like, you know?" Because she wants to check like to make sure he's dead. Like
what'd she say?
I don't know. I think she's just like. I don't know if like people are like trying to like push her away to like not like get her.
Not necessarily.
No. Okay. Because I
mean, it's just the two of us carrying a.
Well, there's like one or two servants as well.
Yeah, because I mean, she's probably like yelling his name, like Maxence.
Yeah.
You know, just like concerned for her fellow colleague and nerd.
Yeah. Do you say anything, Marco?
I don't know who Maxence is. It's just a dead guy.
Yeah, that's fair. Right. Yeah. So Curzier looks at you, Joe, and just like shakes his head. He's gone, my lady. He's gone.
What happened? I
He
saw him.
fell out of a balcony.
I was right next to.
You say that, Marco?
Yes. I'm not
like-
exactly known for my tact, if I remember right.
I think. I mean, she just is like. He was sitting right next to me.
He was what? He was sitting right next to you, say, and like they kind of get him into the office and like set him down on like this like divan or whatever, right? Tell me everything you know, Lady Valet. Listen, did someone push him? What happened?
No, he stood up and grabbed his chest, and then he fell off. He just.
So what? A heart attack? Marco, did it look
Sounds
like a
like
heart
it.
attack to you?
Sounds like it to me.
Okay. So it could have been an accident then.
And Joe just kind of like.
Wait. Can beliefs help a roll?
No.
I don't think it matters, actually. Never mind. I got a 0 on the murder-wise thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's just like, like just taking that moment of shock of like, oh my gosh.
We need to find out what happened. We need to know for sure if it was just an accident.
His wine upstairs, I don't know. It seemed fine to me, but I don't know. He was drinking wine and bread earlier, and
He was
Drinking bread.
huh?
Maybe
What?
he had a brain tumor.
He
going
was
crazy.
drinking bread.
No, did I say he's drinking bread?
Yeah.
You said
You
he was
said he was
drinking wine and bread.
Instead of drinking wine and eating bread.
Drinking wine and eating bread. Thank
Yeah.
you. I am an English teacher. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think he like nods. He says, "Well, we need to know. We need to know for sure if the wine might have
Please,
been poisoned."
Vivian, there's still people up there. Get them out.
I turns like,
He-
Bertram,
Yeah.
he just kind of gives him a knowing look. I can help. You wanted me to help here. Give me this shot.
Help find out the truth.
I mean, because Bertram knows like I was a detective.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you were like a lawyer and an advocate.
I
Yeah.
was like, this is my. It's like, how would I say this? This was my livelihood, and it could be my livelihood again. Give me this shot, so I can give my family a better life.
He nods slowly and he says, Yes, that makes sense. Marco, find out what wretch killed my friend and bring him to
Just
justice.
gives him a nod. It turns to Josephine. It says, "You said you were sitting next to him?
Yes,
Where?
up in the
Actually-
balcony in the box seat.
Bring me there."
Okay, and so she just immediately brings him over.
Caleb, I have a question.
Yeah.
When is the first break?
I was literally just about to say, like, that was
Okay.
that's a perfect moment to like you get led away to like go and investigate it, right? And I think the last thing we see is Bertrand like look at the servants and say, "Evacuate everyone, get everyone out. This is a disaster, And then we cut to our first break.
And he was just a day away from retirement.
Well, he's a noble. He doesn't really retire, but yeah.
No.
He doesn't really work.
That's
That's
fair.
also very
Also
true.
All right, we'll be right back with more Lavender Shadows right after this. Stick around.